It was a warm summer evening when Sarah, a young woman with a passion for adventure, decided to explore the cornfields that bordered her family's farm. Armed with nothing but a flashlight and a sense of curiosity, she ventured into the maze-like expanse of stalks, their rustling leaves creating an eerie symphony in the night. As Sarah wandered deeper into the cornfield, she felt a sense of unease creeping over her. The stalks seemed to loom taller and closer together, casting long shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. Ignoring the prickling sensation at the back of her neck, she pressed on, determined to uncover the secrets hidden within the labyrinth of corn. Hours passed, and Sarah realized with growing dread that she was hopelessly lost. Panic gripped her chest as she stumbled through the endless rows, the darkness closing in around her like a suffocating blanket. Just when she thought she couldn't take another step, she stumbled upon a clearing in the cornfield. Relief flooded through her as she emerged into the moonlit space, but it was short-lived. In the center of the clearing stood a dilapidated farmhouse, its windows boarded up and its walls sagging with age. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she approached the decaying structure, the sense of foreboding growing stronger with each step. As she reached out a trembling hand to push open the creaking door, she heard a voice whispering in the darkness. "Leave this place," it hissed, sending shivers down her spine. Ignoring the warning, Sarah stepped over the threshold and into the darkness beyond. The annual Harvest Festival was the highlight of the town's social calendar, a time for celebration and camaraderie as the community came together to give thanks for another bountiful year. But beneath the surface of the festivities lurked a darkness that few dared to acknowledge. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars began to twinkle in the night sky, the townsfolk gathered in the town square to partake in the traditional rituals of the Harvest Festival. The air was filled with laughter and music as children danced around the bonfire, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. But as the night wore on and the revelry reached its peak, strange things began to happen. Shadows danced along the edges of the cornfields, and whispers echoed through the night like the rustling of dry leaves. Some claimed to have seen figures moving among the stalks, their eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. As the hours passed, the sense of unease grew until it was almost palpable. But despite the mounting fear, the townsfolk pressed on with their celebrations, determined not to let superstition ruin their fun. It started with whispers, rumors whispered in hushed tones behind closed doors. Stories of people vanishing without a trace, their footsteps disappearing into the endless expanse of the cornfields never to be seen again. At first, the townsfolk dismissed the tales as nothing more than idle gossip, but as more and more people went missing, they could no longer ignore the truth. Among those who vanished was Thomas, a young farmer with a heart of gold and a smile that could light up the darkest night. He had gone into the cornfields one morning to check on his crops and never returned, leaving behind a grieving family and a town plunged into mourning. Despite their best efforts, the townsfolk could find no trace of Thomas or any of the others who had disappeared. It was as if they had been swallowed up by the cornfields, consumed by the darkness that lurked within. As fear gripped the town in its icy embrace, whispers of an ancient curse began to spread like wildfire. According to legend, the cornfields were cursed by the spirits of the land, vengeful entities that demanded a sacrifice each year in return for a bountiful harvest. For generations, the townsfolk had appeased the spirits with offerings of corn and livestock, hoping to stave off the wrath of the cursed land. But as the years passed and the demands of the spirits grew ever more insatiable, it seemed that nothing could satisfy their hunger. Desperate for answers, the townsfolk turned to the old-timers, the keepers of ancient lore passed down through the generations. But even they could offer no solace, for they knew that once the curse had taken hold, there was little that could be done to break. Determined to uncover the truth behind the curse of the corn, a group of brave souls banded together to venture into the heart of the cornfields. Armed with torches and weapons forged of iron, they plunged into the darkness, their hearts filled with a mixture of fear and determination. As they pushed deeper into the cornfields, they encountered horrors beyond their wildest imaginings. Strange symbols carved into the earth, twisted and gnarled trees that seemed to reach out with grasping hands, and shadows that flitted through the darkness just beyond the edge of their vision. But despite the dangers that lurked around every corner, the group pressed on, driven by a determination to uncover the truth. It was only when they reached the center of the cornfield that they discovered the terrible secret that lay hidden beneath the surface. At the heart of the cornfield stood an ancient altar, its surface stained with the blood of countless sacrifices. Surrounding it were the remains of those who had dared to defy the will of the spirits, their bodies twisted and contorted in a grotesque mockery of life. As the group gazed upon the scene in horror, they realized with growing dread that they were not alone. Emerging from the shadows came the spirits of the land, their eyes burning with an otherworldly light as they advanced upon the intruders. With nowhere left to run, the group prepared to meet their fate, knowing that they had ventured too far into the darkness to ever find their way back. And as the spirits closed in around them, they whispered a single word, a word that chilled the blood and sent shivers down their spines.